Hello, my name is Kaylee and I'm an INFJ 9 Wing 1. Welcome back to another video. And if you're new, welcome to my channel. I hope you will like and you will subscribe and you will become a part of the family. So today we're going to talk about something that as a 9, I believe is extremely important and is something that you've probably experienced in your life. And that is relationship rehabilitation, or mending a relationship, or trying to fix things in a relationship. Whether that's dating, it's with a sibling, a friend, a parent, a coworker. How does that look for all the different types? It's not always as simple as saying I'm sorry and then moving forward. So what does it look like to apologize or fix things when you're dealing with different types on the Enneagram? All right, let's get started. Type 1, tell them what you've learned from the experience. Okay, 1s don't want anything to go to waste and want to know that the experience was worth it to you and somehow made you better. Say this is between two peers where one advises the other not to do something. I think this happens a lot with 1s. 1s are always kind of, I don't want to say nosy, but they are going to get into other people's business and try to help them out. So if you are dealing with a 1 and a 1 tells you, don't go and say that to the boss because, they're not going to appreciate it, don't do that, that's going to get you in trouble, and you do it anyways, and now there's kind of this doubt in your relationship because the 1 is having a hard time trusting your judgment, trusting your guidance, then, it can be beneficial for you to go to that 1 and say, okay, here's what I learned. I'm so sorry that, even if you're not sorry that you did the thing, or that you went with your gut, or that you made your own decision, you don't need to apologize for making your own decision, but maybe, expressing to the 1, that wasn't the right thing to do. Taking the advice you would have given me would have resulted in the right thing, but I didn't do it. Even though I didn't do it, I can understand that I learned that maybe I should listen to you a little bit more, or I learned that, so telling a 1 what you've learned through the experience that you've had, or what you've learned through your relationship being pulled apart. So you have this separation in your relationship, it can be helpful for you to say to that 1, what I've learned since we haven't been together is that I really need the stability you bring. So telling a 1 what you've learned is a good way of mending things and kind of checking the little box of you can trust me and we can work through this. Trying to show the 1 that you guys can work through this, it can give them that confidence by telling them that you have learned something through this experience. Type 2, out of all the 9 types, this one is the most simple. Say sorry about what you're sorry about. Be honest, be open, and tell them, look, I'm sorry about this. I really am. I apologize. I'm remorseful. I regret it. And 2s want to bring you back into their lives. And so when you give them that go-ahead of, I apologize, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it again. And if I do it again, please tell me that I'm doing it again because maybe I'm not realizing that I'm doing it. I'm sorry. And apologize, and it's pretty simple. In most situations, that's what it takes to make that 2 feel safe and secure in that relationship again, giving them confidence to move forward. Type 3, tell them what they did well in the situation. So this one I can see in my own personal life, being married to a 3. When we first started dating, he asked me out and I told him no. And I just didn't think about it. I blew him off and I told him no. And a few days later, as I was walking around the house crying around to my mom about, I think I might have made the wrong decision, I knew it was time to, reach out to him and kind of try to mend that relationship. And not really even knowing what I know now, but I still took this tactic in a very very subconscious way. And instead of focusing on, I did this wrong, I did this poorly, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have done this, I should have given it more time, I should have thought about it, I was wrong. Instead of doing that, knowing that I was speaking with a 3 and knowing that love language of the 3, I focused my attention more on, thank you so much for meeting me and talking about this today. Thank you for forgiving me for, jumping the gun and not thinking about this. You are so kind and gracious, and I can really see that through this experience. So 2s, 3s, and 4s are all in the shame type, and so they're already feeling the shame, and they're kind of feeling like they need to explain themselves just for being alive, and just for being on earth they need to prove themselves. So when you tell a shame type that they've done something wrong, it makes them feel this like crippling weight that they really don't belong here, and that they're just being a huge burden. So with the 2, you tell them, I'm sorry, I take on the responsibility, and please forgive me. Then that doesn't really push the blame on them. It really relieves the blame from them. The same with the 3. If you can even praise them in mistakes that have been made, you can say, I know all of these bad things have happened between us. I know I did this and you did that. But if you're really trying to mend things, you have decided to put the past behind you. That doesn't mean forget about the past, it just means put it behind you, but be aware of it. But you can put some of these things behind you and say, I know that you did these things that I wouldn't necessarily choose, but here's all these other good things about you, and focus on those good things, and it will make the 3 feel more safe in that relationship, more secure, and more like they have something to bring to the table. Because if a 3 feels like they don't have anything to bring to the table, they have nothing they can add to you or your life, then there's really no point in being in that kind of friendship or relationship. So just be aware of that, and you don't need to be manipulative with it. Just be mindful of what you choose to put the spotlight on. Type 4. This one is very easy as a 9. I feel like one reason 9s and 4s get along so well is because when there's a bump in the road, 9s are very good at doing this. 6s as well, 6s and 4s. If you are a 6 or you're a 4 and you have this other type in your life, you can see how you guys can get along very well through hard times. It's because this is how 4s can begin to feel more secure in a relationship, and that is listen to them and validate their emotion. This can be really difficult for some people to listen to a 4 and then validate their emotion. Okay, you can listen, but it's difficult to validate some people's emotions. Sometimes emotions just seem so wild, and when a 4 might say things like, you don't even love me, obviously you don't love me, I can see that, you don't give me time and attention, and I just feel empty, I feel worthless, I feel like there's no place on earth for me, I feel like I'm not gonna make a difference in anyone's life, and it's all because, and then it can be difficult to sit there and listen to that and say, yep, yep, because then you feel like you're adding to the fire. You feel like you're saying, yes, you are worthless. Yes, you do have no purpose. But that's not what they want at all. 4s need you to say, oh my goodness, I can't imagine feeling like that. I can't imagine what you must be going through. It is impressive that you are as strong as you are to be able to go through something like that. And don't be fake, but validate the emotion. You don't have to validate the actual thing that they're experiencing. You don't have to validate that they are worthless, because they're not, but you can validate that they feel worthless, okay? Just like a 6, when they feel anxious, are they actually in danger in every situation? Like if a 6 is feeling anxious in a situation, you don't need to validate that they should be feeling anxious, but you can validate the fact that they are feeling anxious. That is true, that is valid. So with the 4, when they are feeling this heavy weight of the world crushing them down, they're carrying the world on their back, they're wearing their heart on their sleeve, they have a knife in their back, all of these things that 4s experience, you don't need to say, that's not true, you shouldn't feel that way. No, that's not going to help. That's not going to change the way they feel, except for maybe make it worse. Instead, you should just, mending that relationship of, I'm so sorry that you feel that way. I can't imagine that feeling. Don't try to feel their own feelings. Just, I'm so sorry that you feel that way. You are stronger than I am to be able to go through that. And that will make that 4 feel like they can be open and honest with you and you actually get it. Because having everyone tell you all the time that you're wrong for the way that you feel, because the way that you feel is honestly the way that you feel. It's the way that you have interpreted things. It doesn't mean that what you feel is reality, but the way that you feel is true. So expressing that and then having that shot down is not helpful. So if you have, a friend or a sister or a child who's a 4 and, they have all these deep emotions that you just don't deal with, it's not that, you're a bad friend or a bad parent or a bad sibling. It can just be that, you need to validate that they are feeling that way, not tell them they're not feeling that way, and then help them move forward. Help your 4s see the reality of the situation, not undermine their own feelings, okay? Type 5. This one is short and sweet, literally short and sweet, is part of the apology or the mending process. And that is give a 5 time, give them space, and then apologize short and to the point. The less words, the better. I know from spending time with 5s and being around 5s that usually the more you ramble, the more you go on, the more you say, the more trouble you're going to get yourself into, because you're going to leave a lot more room for error. And if you have really damaged a relationship with a 5, then it's going to be very easy for them to discard that relationship if they find a lot of fault in it. So I'm not trying to say that relationships don't mean a lot to 5s, because they do. Relationships are important to 5s, but 5s are going to be a lot more particular about what kind of relationships they have, and they're going to choose a lot higher quality relationships than maybe other people would. So if you are going to try to mend a relationship with a 5, give them that time, give them that space, and email, text, call, see them briefly and say, look, I want to apologize. Let me tell you why I want to apologize. These are the things that I want to talk about, and go over it quickly and short and to the point. It doesn't need to be full of emotion, but be honest and show what you're really feeling. If you want to mend a relationship, don't be too prideful to actually show that you want to mend that relationship. It's not stupid, it's not childish, it's not dumb to want people in your life and to want to have good relationships with them. Number 6. 6 is lovely. That 6s are keep showing up for them. And I can kind of feel this with 6 being my stress point, and I visit the qualities of 6 intentionally often to seek counsel and seek wisdom from this number. But actually looking at the people in my life who are 6s, seeing this keep showing up for them. So 6s, they're worried about the relationships in their life, and they're worried about losing these people in their life. So if you are trying to make amends with a 6, it's a lot easier in the beginning stages of deterioration. When the relationship is first being rocky, first being pulled apart, in the beginning stages of things going bad, start making amends then, instead of, I'll just see how this works out. I'm going to remove myself, especially as a withdrawn type. If you are a withdrawn type or you are an introvert, I'm going to remove myself from the situation and I'm going to see how it plays out. No, get your little hands in there. You need to start working on things. And sometimes the most helpful thing is business as usual. Usually the 6s are going to want to talk about it. They're going to want to understand your point of view, understand what's really going on, and they're going to want you to be honest about it and, never lie to a 6. They don't want that is one of the ways that you can really break that relationship, because if they can't trust you, then what is the point of that relationship? And sixes really believe that. So don't be lying to your friend or your partner who is a six. Don't be lying to anyone, but really in that six relationship, that is a huge problem. So make sure that you're being honest, but show up and keep doing business as usual. Maybe throw in a couple extra things. Go out of your way for them. If you're gonna see them anyways, stop at their favorite little restaurant and pick something up for them. If you're gonna go visit them, bring them a coffee. If you're gonna go see them, write them a little note and stick it on their desk, So sixes like to know that they have these secure relationships in their life, even when things aren't going well, that they can still count on you. Even when things aren't just rainbows and sunshine, that you can still be dependable. So business as usual, that is a very good way to secure that relationship with a six and make them feel safe with you. Okay, type 7, how to make amends with a type 7. So you can break down the relationship you have with a 7 in lots of different ways. I think it's more difficult to, hurt the feelings of the 7s in your life or really push them away. But one way that I think a lot of 7s have problems with other people is not when people push them away, but when they pull them in too much. So the way that you should make amends with a type 7 is give them space and then invite them to go do things with you. So give them some space, give them some time, and everyone's different. It depends on your 7. It depends on the person you're trying to make amends with, the relationship you had before then, what happened to break it down. But in the most general sense, give them some space. It could be a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple months. Give them space and invite them to go do some fun, lighthearted activities. Show them that this relationship is still good. It's still fun. It's still enjoyable. We have companionship. We have a good time together. I'm not in trouble in this relationship. I'm not getting yelled at. I'm not getting scolded. I'm not being held down. This is a fun, enjoyable experience. When you can show that to a 7 and show them that, that you're not going to be the ball and chain of a friend. You're not going to be the ball and chain parent or the sister or the coworker, and you're going to, give them some space and then invite them to go do some fun things with you. If it is a coworker and you are a superior, it might be more difficult because you're going to be giving them these instructions throughout the day. You're going to be telling them, hey, you have to do this, you have to turn this in, you got to do that. But you want to be friends with them. It might look something like, when you go and visit them to tell them what they have to do, tell them the whole list at once. At the end of the day, say, hey, me and some friends are going to go out this evening. Do you want to go with us? We'd love for you to come with us. We're going to go play a game back at my house afterwards. Do you want to come? And show them that, look, work is work, but fun is fun, and we want you to be a part of that. So it can be difficult in different situations depending on the way your relationship is actually set up, but it is still possible to mend these relationships. Type 8. 8s, I can really appreciate this, and this is something that a lot of us should do more of. 8s, the way that we can mend relationships with you is actions. Actions speak louder than words, and you understand that. So if you want to mend the relationship with an 8, you need to do something, okay? A lot of times, 8s will be happy to have you back in their life. So say that something has happened in your relationship with your 8. Something has happened and now there is a divide. Most of the times I think that's the case because 8s are pretty loyal, pretty constant friends. Once an 8 chooses you to be in their circle, to be one of them, then they're not going to just abandon you. They're not going to push you aside. So if something like that has happened or something like that is happening, then usually that means something has caused it. Okay, so there has been a cause. And if you are in this situation right now, or you have been, you can probably think of, oh, there was, when I did have this friendship or I did have this relationship with an 8 and it ended, it was because of blank. So if something has happened with your 8, A lot of times they're not going to want you back in their life until you do something to remedy the thing that caused the problems. So say that you have a best friend who is an 8, and your best friend who's an 8 has their moral point of view and they believe it is wrong to lie. Okay, that's pretty standard. So you are lying to someone else. It doesn't have to be a huge lie, but you're lying to someone else, and it's obvious to the 8 that you are lying to this person. Until you tell the truth to that person, the 8 probably will not want you back in their life. If it's a big enough deal to the 8, they could very well say, I don't want you in my life. If you are going to lie to your other friend this way, I don't want you in my life. So until you can tell them the truth, I'm not going to have you in my life. So just understand that it takes actions for the 8 to want you back in their life. So it could be something like that, making amends and actually doing something about something that was done. Or it could be just the 8 says, you never give me time, you never show up, you never pay attention. Whenever we're out, you're on your phone. I don't want to be around someone who is not even worth spending time with, because it's like you're not even there. I might as well just be, texting someone else. I might as well just be texting you. What's the point? Until you make that decision to change your actions, the 8 is going to be done. They're not going to put up with your bull crap. They're done, okay? If you want to make amends with an 8, you actually have to want it enough to do something about it. But a lot of times it is as simple as just changing something and telling the 8, hey, I changed this thing, so let's give it another chance. Okay? Simple and easy. It's not that difficult. Last one, number 9. So when you are trying to mend relationships with a 9, it's very similar to the invert of a 1. Instead of when you're trying to make amends with the 1, telling them what you've learned through the experience, with the 9, ask them whatever the situation was like for them. What was that like for you? Listen to what they have to say about whatever it was. So you were gone for a few weeks and you didn't call, you didn't text, you didn't have any kind of communication the whole time, and you said you would call them every night, but you didn't. So now there's a little bit of conflict when you get back. The 9 just, it seems like they've kind of moved on without you. And you're trying to make amends in that relationship now that you're back and you feel bad and you see the damage it's caused. Instead of apologizing like you would for the 2 or telling the 9, you did such a good job. I'm so glad you didn't freak out because I didn't call you. I'm so appreciative that you were okay. You were so great in that, like you would for the 3. Or show up and just keep acting like business as usual. For the 6, the 9 is going to want more to explain what really was going on with them, because I know, at least for me as a 9, I don't really want you to tell me that you're sorry unless you know what you're sorry for, or the extent of which the apology should go. 9s want you to have the full picture, and they want you to understand what's really going on and the truth of the matter. So it's similar to the 4 in that, let me just tell you what's going on. Let me explain to you what it was like, what really happened, what was going on with me. It was really weird, and where I'm at now because of it. So when you're apologizing or trying to make amends with that 9, ask them what that experience was like, and then listen. And you don't need to validate, you just need to listen. 9s don't want a lot of conflict. They avoid conflict. We will pick momentary comfort over long-term comfort in a lot of situations, even if it's not good. A lot of times that will happen. So it's easy to weasel your way back into the life of a 9, even if you've done some crappy things. But if you really do want to make amends with your 9, go to them and say, hey, I really want to apologize for X, Y, and Z. How are you? Did that hurt you? I just want to know, was this difficult for you? And let the 9 open up about it and tell you about it. And when they do, just, you want to be making eye contact and you want to be listening, and oh my goodness, I never meant to make you feel that way. And that kind of thing will show the 9 it is safe to communicate with you, and that things can go back to normal because they can at least communicate with you. And that can help 9s feel like there is a connection back in that relationship. When you run into problems, when you know that the relationship is probably actually over with the 9, is when they won't express any of that. You're gonna have to give the 9 time to actually figure out, how they're feeling about something. If you were at dinner and you made the 9 look like an idiot and you embarrassed them and you made them look like a horrible, mean person, and you put them on the spot right in front of everyone, and now the 9 is upset about it. When you're driving home from dinner, it might not be the best time to be like, so how did that make you feel? But you can say, hey, I'm so sorry that I did this, that, and the other, and give them a little bit of time, and then, ask them, are you okay? I didn't intend to make you feel little or small, like you didn't matter. Did you feel that way? Ask those open-ended questions, and usually you will get a long, lengthy response, and then you will find some closure. But when you don't get those responses, and when it's just, I'm fine, it doesn't matter, that is when the 9 is shut off. They have shut down. Whatever happened was too much to handle. They don't even care anymore. They've decompressed and they are done. So for that, maybe I should make another video on how to, help your 9, get out of that feeling stuck and decompressed and I don't even care, kind of moment. But for today, that is all, guys. Thank you so much for coming to today's video, and I hope this was helpful for you. I hope that you will use some of these tactics and use these languages. Speak people's language. If you really truly want to mend a relationship, figure out the best way to do that. So I hope that you can use some of these tactics to have better relationships in your life and understanding yourself better and understanding other people better. Okay. Thank you so much for coming to today's video, and thank you for joining the family. I will see you guys later. Bye.